Alright. Hey guys. Yep. Alright, so we'll do another video here. I tried to do a video earlier and then I forgot why I was doing the video. Anyhow, I have a lot of shit I gotta do. It's been raining a bunch, which this is not normal. It's not normal, like it's an abnormal amount of rain, and it's fucking causing me a lot of problems. I gotta turn this fan down. Oh shit. And yeah, it's fucking with my logistics and stuff. And so anyway, so I got a lot of shit I gotta do. But I'll do a video. Yeah. And so let's see. Just for fun. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I must be using the internet wrong. I ain't finding nothing, bro. I'm looking around and I'm not seeing nothing, which is one of the reasons I do videos, because like I'm not finding nothing anyways so whatever, might as well make videos. So I've been getting a lot of comments that I could do videos on, like, so anyways, I was thinking about this one comment that I got today. Is like a simple comment, question, asking me if I'm an avid reader, and I was thinking about that, and then my brain started firing off, and I thought that would be a good thing to do a video about. For me, I would like to talk about that, I guess, but I don't know what's going to happen with this video, because it's definitely going to start going all over the place, but still, it's like it got me thinking about a lot of stuff. So I figure I would just kind of start off with that, like as far as books and reading, and me being a reader. I'm not really. And I was like thinking about, I mean, I'm just some guy, whatever. I'm not like I don't really care. I don't know, and I don't really care, like, as far as intellect and stuff, because I've been around a lot of people and listened to a lot of people, and this kind of stuff, and I've studied certain things. The most stuff that I've studied is like I would have to say is like spirituality, but even more than that is like homeless, the subjects of poverty and homelessness. I've done a lot of studying on that, and reading of different kinds, and spirituality. I've done a lot on reading on spirituality and shit, and I've done a lot of reading on the subject of drug addiction and alcoholism. I've done, I mean, not a lot, but those would be the areas that I've done the most reading. And whenever I've had discussions with people, well, let's take for example, like over the years, I've kind of explored as much as I can different spiritual kind of stuff, through reading and things like this. And the thing that I've found about like spiritual kind of stuff is that I heard somebody say this once, and it totally resonated with me in regards to like spirituality and like those kind of things. This guy said this one time when we were having this long discussion on this. He said, "I've never met anyone who's too stupid to understand, like, these different ideas on spirituality and shit." Like he said, "I've never met anyone who's too stupid to understand this stuff." And he says, "But I've met a lot of people who are too smart to understand. Like, I've met a lot of people that they just too fucking smart. They know too much. And that goes into like the concept of like humility, and you can kind of go over it. This idea, like the idea of an open mind, that's a mind is like Frank Zappa said, a mind is like a parachute. It only works when it opens. And you have all these fucking like closed-minded people that have no humility because they believe that they know everything. And that's what he means when he's talking about, like, I've met a lot of people. I've never met anyone who's too stupid to understand things regarding spiritual principles and stuff like this. But I've met a lot of people that are too fucking smart. Like, they just know everything. And this is also a lot of times the case in the subject of like drugs and alcohol and addiction to drugs and alcoholism and stuff is, like the reality of these kind of things. I've never met anyone too stupid to understand this shit. But it's all these people that are too fucking smart, right? And so like when I think of intellect and shit like this, like I don't believe in IQ stuff. I mean, like, the idea of IQ, where a person's intellect is measured by the code of man, so to speak. I mean, all you got to do is take one good look at the education system. That's where these ideas of how to measure IQ come from. Is the education industry, society's idea of what intelligence is, and like, I mean, if you have faith in the education system, which that's something that I don't understand. I don't understand why people would put faith in the education system, and so I don't believe in these bullshit like codes that men have designed to measure IQ levels and stuff like this. Again, that goes back to the whole thing of like, there's so much of this stuff that is it's easily understood. Going back to what that guy said, I never met anybody too stupid to understand this shit. But I've come across masses of people that are just too fucking smart. And so when I'm talking about, for example, the top 10%, middle 8%, and lowest 10%, like, people will try to pretend like they don't understand what I'm talking about because I'm not making any sense. See, those are the people that, what I'm talking about, it doesn't require a high level of intelligence. And I've never come across anybody too stupid to understand things that I'm discussing. These people, they're just too fucking smart, man. They've got all of this fucking shit that they're from the education system, like all this garbage that they're. I mean, I just don't get it, bro. So anyway, so going back to like books and stuff. So I've read books and that I would consider good, but I'm not an avid reader. and 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 so, like, for example, okay, like when I talk about the media, and I'm not talking just about mainstream media, I'm talking about all media. The target audience is always the same. It's the 80 percenters. That all media, whether it's books, television, internet influencers, their target audience is always the same, like the middle 80%. And so if I'm in the lowest 10%, none of this media has anything to do with me at all. It's irrelevant to me if I'm in the lowest 10%. So, I mean, what good is, for example, books? Like if you think of books as media, well, all these books are written for the middle 80%. That's it. So, if I'm in the lowest 10%, what good is it going to do me to read all these books who are written for the middle 80%? They're not written for people like me. Like, none of them, with the exception of whatever you want to say, 0.01% or something. But then that goes back to, sifting through a haystack to find a needle. And so there's all these books, and not to say that I might benefit from reading them. I may or may not. But if the majority of all books are written for the middle 80% and I'm the lowest 10%, the chances of me benefiting from reading those books are less than the middle 80% benefiting from reading those books. And so then once I consider that, then I have to question, well, what are these books even about? Like, what? If they're written to benefit the middle 80%, and the middle 80% ignores and hates the lowest 10%, what benefit would I have from reading them? I would imagine not a lot. And I've spent time entertaining all this stuff, this media that's designed for the middle 80%, and it's always the same. It's always the same. It's like always goes back to the wonderful middle 80% or the angels of the world. It's always and so as being part of the lowest 10%, like, none of this means anything to me. It's all gay. That's all it is it's stupid. And so much of this stuff that people regard as like highly intellectual, like books and stuff, it's all garbage. Like you look at some so-called internet influencer intellectual, like the Corbett Report. All the Corbett Report tells the middle 80% what they want to hear, because that's his audience, and that's how he gets the most clicks, likes, views, subs, ratings, dopamine hits, and money. And it's the same with books. Books is the same media. It's just more of the same media. And so it's all about telling the middle 80% what the middle 80% wants to hear, because that's how my book will sell. Oh, man, and you got these top best-selling books, and they're always about it's always so I'm not a big and this reminds me of Socrates. I believe it was Socrates. It may have been Aristotle, but I'm pretty sure it was Socrates. He didn't believe in books. Reading and writing, to Socrates, is all garbage. The reason that Socrates stood on the principle of rejecting books like reading and writing is because Socrates, his philosophy was, the foundation of Socrates' philosophy was based in going out into the world and having discussions with people and interacting with people rather than reading about it. Like taking a book that somebody wrote and sitting and reading it. Like, Socrates felt that is like a complete waste of time, when Socrates could be out experiencing the world and experiencing discussions about this literature with people in the real world, like having discussion and debate, right? And so Socrates, I'm pretty sure it was Socrates, he rejected reading and writing. And he discouraged people from books and writing, and encouraged people get out and experience the real world, you know. And now I'm not saying this like don't read or that I'm against reading or anything like that, but like this has been my experience with like reading and stuff. You know, like what books are there whose target audience is the lowest 10%? Very few. So like you could talk about The Grapes of Wrath was written about the Great Depression, and I imagine the author was someone who experienced poverty of the Great Depression and then wrote the book Grapes of Wrath, right? You have a handful of books like this. Or Thoreau. I can't remember his name, but Thoreau, who wrote the book Walden, which was basically like the idea of the book Walden is great. I mean, it's set in. It's basically him documenting, you know, his experience living in the late 1800s, and Thoreau is basically looking at everything, and it's the same thing that's going on today. Like the price of housing is completely fucking ridiculous. All housing like is like it's totally like bullshit is basically what Thoreau is saying. Like you can't afford a house, and rent is even more. Like they make more. Like and Thoreau saw all this back in the mid to late 1800s, and so he chose to basically walk off the plantation. Is like I'm just gonna go find some bushes and just go live in them and make my own shit. Because you can't even afford a house or housing or any of this shit. Like society is totally rigged. It's like a big fucking casino. Thoreau was writing, and this book Walden is regarded as one of the most like one of the greatest top 10 greatest pieces of literature in the last like 100 or 200 years. You know, literally by scholars, and yet the story, and it's about Thoreau's own experience, accounting his own experience of experiencing all this, and as a result of that, going and just living in a bush, you know, like Diogenes going and living out in the fucking street, and it's like this is all bullshit. Like Thoreau came to the same conclusion in the mid to late 1800s. And then just did he documented his experience of just abandoning all this bullshit and going and living in a bush and gathering up supplies and building a little shanty shack and stuff. And Thoreau got arrested for that. He got arrested because he knew that all this society was a big rigged casino, and that the fucking price of everything, housing, groceries, all this stuff is like totally insane, and everybody's just getting fucked by the economic system. So he went out and built the shanty shack and decided he'll just catch his own food fishing and live in his little shack and grow his own little carrots and stuff, and hunt and just live on his own. He doesn't need all this. And they fucking hunted him down and fucking arrested him, okay? Now, of course, there's the conspiracy theory is Thoreau was just a trust fund baby, which I wouldn't be surprised if that were true. But, and so you'll have some of the pieces of literature like this that actually are relatable to the lowest 10%. But overall, in general, like to find a book that is relatable, like the target audience is the lowest 10%, is like finding a needle in a haystack. And like when you put on the They Live, like going to They Live, John Nada didn't put on the They Live sunglasses out of virtue because he was a virtuous person. John Nada was forced to put on the They Live sunglasses because of the desperate situation he was in. If he was living a fucking middle class or upper middle class life, he wouldn't have even been in the situation where he was forced to put on the sunglasses, right? But when he puts on so he's forced to put on these sunglasses, and then it's like, what the fuck? Like everything is like, what the fuck, right? and and it's the irony of it too is when he's looking at the books and everything with the glasses on, like the book will say, "Oh, this is a book about gardening and stuff," and he puts the glasses on, and looks at it, and it's like work, produce, consume. It's all brainwash. It's all garbage, right? So, but like the lowest 10% are forced to kind of see things as they are, not by virtue of the lowest 10%, but because if a person lives in a comfortable, middle 80% comfortable life, they're not in a situation of desperation where they're forced to look at things as they really are, because they're coddled by the system is working for them enough of a degree to where they're not in a state of desperation where they have to put on the sunglasses like John Nada did. You know what I'm saying? And so it's crazy. Like when I did street outreach for 10 years, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and all I did was engage these lowest 10% people. Like I have to say, I don't know how to articulate what I want to say, except for just to say, dude, like these motherfuckers, they're seeing shit that the world is not seeing. They're just not seeing it because the world, everyone that's not part of the 10% is living more comfort. Everything is comfortable, and they're not forced to see things. It's like if you've ever seen the movie Martyrs. If you've seen the movie Martyrs, basically it's about a cult that kidnaps people and tortures them to such extreme levels. And the reason that they're being tortured is it's opening their eyes. It's forcing the victim to wear they live sunglasses and to see beyond the veil. That's why they're torturing them, because they know by inflicting insane levels of pain upon these victims that the victims like become they gain a sixth sense through the trauma. Like they become like shamans. The forced trauma employed upon these victims like opens their fucking third eye, like to where they're forced to see reality. Have you ever seen the movie fucking Martyrs? Like that's what I'm saying, dude. Like anyways, but going back to like being an avid reader in books, like another book, an example would be like what do you call it? The Dharma Bums by Jack Kerouac. I actually liked that book. I couldn't read like the last 10 pages because I felt like I get the gist. Like, and it was a pretty good book, and it had some real gems in there. But there again, the Dharma Bums is about fucking Jack Kerouac and his experience living homeless, like totally, just like rejecting all. But see, there again, Jack Kerouac is another one where he's like kind of a trust fund baby. He can go and do this, And if it gets too painful, he's got his little trust fund account to kind of go, do whatever. Whereas, but books aren't really talking about the truth in regards to the lowest 10%. Like it's all the same. This is the problem with media, And it all is about popularity, And it's interesting when you look at it in terms of politics. I believe they call it the filibuster, where you have the popular vote, but then you also have, what's the other vote? I can't remember what it's called. But so during so-called presidential elections, they take a tally of the popular vote, but then they also have to take a vote of each state because if they only went based solely on popular vote, all these big populated cities like New York and San Francisco would be dominating the direction of where the country goes. But see, all these flyover Midwestern states, that's where all their food it comes from. But the city people are detached from that reality. So they vote based on city interests. But because all the food comes from the Midwest and stuff, and all these other important things that don't happen in the city have to be protected, that's why they have the filibuster or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. Like, so it's weird how, you know, like all media is geared toward the popular, like the middle 80%, the popular. But like when you have a voting system, you don't base the voting on popularity alone, on the popular vote alone. You have to take into consideration like farmers and all these other people who like, we wouldn't even grow. If it was up to the cities, the whole country would be like fucking New York City or San Francisco. And look at what shitholes these fucking cities have become, you know? The whole country would just be one big fucking Black Lives Matter fucking riot and shit, you know? But these are just some things that came to mind when I started thinking about reading and stuff. And that's just me. That's just how I am. But like I said, like if I'm in the lowest 10%, I can't really find shared life experience with all these other people, because we are not operating on the same level of reality at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's totally so like I spent 10 years eating out of dumpsters and sleeping in bushes for 10 years, dude. You know, you know, the middle 80%, they wouldn't even believe my story. They wouldn't even believe it. They'd be like, this guy's full of shit. Bullshit. Bullshit. He's just trying to get attention, right? You know, they wouldn't, just like nobody believed John Nada when John Nada wore the sunglasses. Like, bullshit. Like, no, man. Like, it's illegal to sleep. It's illegal to fall asleep. But see, the middle 8%, they don't have to be burdened with this reality that it's illegal to fall asleep and shit. Like, so if they're just the poopy poop, you know, all this stuff, like it never ends. It's just garbage, dude. It's all a bunch of garbage, man. So, you know, so like, yeah, going back to the books, you know, and that's why I do appreciate like Socrates rejected reading and writing, because Socrates' whole philosophy was based in the principle of interacting with people, not interacting with people through books, but actually going out and experiencing it instead of reading it. And I like to think you know, it's like, for example, if I had every good book, every quality book that was ever written on aviation, and I had read them all, but yet I have never flown a plane, would you trust me to fly a plane? No, absolutely not. You wouldn't. You know, there's a difference between experience, you know, like, and that's what's crazy. You have all these, okay, so like you have all these people that get all their information from reading. I did a deep dive and I read all this stuff that's all over on Google about this subject. You know, I read all this stuff about the Jews, you know, like all this shit, like it doesn't matter. That goes back to like, if you take a person and have them read everything, every quality book that was ever written on aviation, what the fuck do they know about flying a plane? Nothing. Whereas if you take some, like, say I was born in a family that was, maybe they were middle class type family, but they were all about aviation. Like my mom and my dad were always flying. They had a couple planes and they were flying them all the time, and they were all obsessed. My family was obsessed with aviation and flying planes, and I grew up in this family, and it's like a hobby. It's like a hobby. That's part of the deal. We go out and fly planes and stuff. And so then my parents got me flying the plane and shit and everything. And then I grow up and I'm like learning, and then I know about fucking flying planes, but I didn't go to school and read books and all, or whatever, you know. And then I meet some, so then I get older and I've flown like tons of planes, right? And then I encounter a person or a group of a fucking hive mind or a echo chamber of all these people, and they're all doing this intellectual discussion on aviation, and they're all talking about how they read this and they've read all this stuff on aviation and stuff. It's like none of that means shit to me if the majority of that echo chamber has little to no experience flying a plane. Meanwhile, I was flying planes by the time I was 7 or 10 years old. My parents were teaching me how to fly and had me in the cockpit flying and shit. And I've just flown planes all my life. What the fuck do these people know? You know, it's like all these people that are going on and on about the Jews. Any of the information that they reference and it's all just shit that they read. They've never experienced, dude. They never even been to Israel, but they're the expert on everything Israel. Like, this is retarded. You see what I'm saying? It's like retarded. And like, it's kind of like going back to the idea of dendrology. You know, like, I spent all these years, I lived homeless, like literally eating out of dumpsters and sleeping in the rain in bushes and shit every fucking day for 10 fucking years straight. And before that, I was born into poverty. Like, my whole childhood I was poor, and then I was fucking homeless for 10 years, sleeping in the rain in bushes and eating out of dumpsters. And then when I got out of it, I did fucking street outreach 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 10 years, where my job was to engage all these other homeless people. Think of the amount of fucking tens of thousands of hours of all this training, everything. And then to go on the internet, where the internet is about, the internet's target audience is the middle 80%. And go on the internet and watch them talking about homelessness. Like, dude, it's retarded, bro. Retarded. Okay, so now going back, like, to find a book or books that is relatable to the lowest 10% is very difficult. And this, again, people aren't going to like this, and people are going to misunderstand what I'm about to say. The Bible is one of the only books that is over the target when it comes to the subject of poverty and homelessness. The Bible. And I don't know why. I didn't choose that. It isn't like I chose for that to be. I didn't make that happen. I don't know why. It is, but it is. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking and looking and looking, and I was just as skeptical as anyone about the Bible. And I just accidentally discovered, dude, when the Bible is referencing poverty, which is all throughout the entire Bible, it's saying all the same things that I have come to discover for myself after all these years and tens of thousands of hours of field study and field application and training and research and everything else. I didn't know that was going to happen. But yeah. And so it's like, well, and then people are going to attack me about it. Like, oh, that I'm just some dumb fucking, another one of these dumb Christians or whatever. I don't know what to tell you. All I'm saying is there's more truth. See, but I come from the lowest 10%, you know, and there's more truth that I've discovered about poverty and homelessness in the Bible than like pretty much any other book or any other type of discussion or anywhere. Like, yeah. You know, and I've done videos where I can show all the shit that the Bible says, and it's all true. Like where it talks about, you know, do your own research, come to your own conclusions. But like in the book of James, where it says, do not be a respecter of persons. And then it uses the example, like, if you see people wearing the fucking expensive gay clothes and the faggot gold rings and stuff, and you want their attention. You're like, oh, hi, will you be my friend? And then you see a poor person in tattered clothes and shit, and you treat them like shit, like, get out of here, you lazy bum. You're just like the top 10%. How are you any different than the Epsteins and the Faucis and the Trumps and all these people you claim that are so evil? You're just like them when you do that. This is totally true. And that's what when it says, do not be a respecter of persons, it goes in, that's how it goes in to flesh out that whole idea of discouraging the reader from not being a respecter of persons. Like, fuck all these people. Fuck, I don't care if you're wearing a fucking faggot, gay fucking gold ring. Go fuck yourself. I don't give a fuck. That shit means nothing. See, that's truth. That's truth. Right? And it's interesting when you look at it in terms of the top 10, the middle 80, and the lowest 10. Everybody's supposed to respect the middle 80%. Like the middle 80% are just like, and here I am, and I'm like, fuck this. That's fucking gay, bro. You're a faggot if you believe this shit that everybody respect the middle 80%. Fuck the middle 80%, dude. Let them go eat fucking shit out of the dumpsters. Fuck them. Why, what is this deal of respecting the middle 80? What is so respectable about the middle 80%? It's like, come on, bro. And the Bible is like pretty much the only book that calls out the middle 80%. Just like when the Bible says, wide is the path, broad is the road, and wide is the path to destruction. Watch everybody fucking blindly take the broad road and the wide path to destruction. Watch them all. Don't follow them. Well, if you look at it in terms of the top 10, middle 80, and the lowest 10, who are the ones? Who are these big masses of people taking the broad path and the wide road to their own fucking destruction? The middle 80%, dude. It's like, and I don't hate the middle 80%, but like, you gotta call a spade what it is. I mean, there's decent people in the middle 80%, there's decent people in the lowest 10%, and there's just a lot of scumfucks everywhere, And I mean, even in the top 10, that's another interesting thing about the Bible. Like, look at Solomon. Solomon was one of the richest motherfuckers, but he wasn't an evil fucking, Bill Gates with the pedophile islands and all this shit. Solomon was one of the few people that he was rich, but he fucking did all kinds of shit to help people. And he was a cool dude. I don't know what to say. I don't think that everyone in the top 10% are a bunch of evil. I don't know what to think. I don't know. What do I know? I have access to the same retarded faggot media that you and everyone else does. It's all garbage. But with the exception of the 0.01%, of course, or whatever. But anyway, yeah, so books is kind of like, it's slim pickings with books as it is with any and all other media, which, going back to Socrates, I would say my hat's off when he's talking about go out and experience. Like, stop talking about all of this shit that, okay, look, let's say this is a person. This is the person and people that I'm regarding. Stop talking about all this shit that you claim about homelessness when you don't know anything about it. You've never gone into the lowest 10% and had personal interactions with them, just like Socrates said. Go out and learn it for yourself. Stop listening to all these fucking cunts. They're a bunch of pompous, fucking fake intellectual, long forehead fucking cunts. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to know what's really going on with the lowest 10%, stop listening to all these people and go find out for yourself. And if you're not willing to do that, that's fine, but shut the fuck up about it. I don't want to hear what your opinion is on something that you know absolutely nothing about. I don't want to, and neither does anyone else. Nobody gives a fuck, right? And so, so that's just kind of that's just my feelings and thoughts and stuff on books. I'm not against books, like, per se. And just like, I don't think Socrates was against books, but it was Socrates was challenging the masses, is to go out and learn it for yourself. The real world is out there, and interact and engage with people, and I would agree. And only also because being in the lowest 10%, it's hard to argue what I'm saying, that all of this book media, all these books, these books, the target audience of all these books is the middle 80%. And I don't have any respect for the middle 80% any more than I do anyone else. Like, why do I give a fuck about the middle? Like, those are all the fucking zombie clones that fucking walking off the edge of the fucking world, staring at their fucking cell phone, believing all this stupid faggot garbage about, the middle 80%, But anyways, I guess that's it. That's a long video. And I'll do some more videos on people's comments. But I got a lot of stuff to do, so anyways, see you boys.